Hello, 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 Tinman here in the BAM. Here I've got a nice little setup here. We have a 16-pill Toshiba box that I built that's new. We got a Davemade 1x4 that we repaired, and a new set of dual birds with lights, PEP kit, regulator board, dual line section, slugs. So it's going to be a long video. So hang around and let's get on with the show. First off, this customer's Rob out in California. We'll leave it with Rob, and if he wants to identify himself, that's perfectly fine. So we're going to start off, first of all, with his Davemade 1x4. It first started out life as a 1x4 12290 driving 42879s. And I've got my dual line section set up. That's going to go in the back of a 16-pill, 1,000-watt slug in forward, and a 25-watt in reflect. And we'll come back to that. So first of all, we, I guess I should show the fan. He wanted a blue LED fan. You can't hardly see the light in here because overhead lighting is LEDs and they're super bright. It started off life with one 2290, and here's the funny thing is both ferrites on the input were cracked. So this was the output, and it fell off somewhere, and it may be over there, but I didn't look too long for it. So there was the output transformer. Now here's the input to the driver. Every ferrite in this amp was cracked. I think one of the output transformers was okay, but so we repaired, put a new 2879 Toshiba, and retuned it. And as we were working, let me see if I can set it up the way it was. So we was working, and we saw the output ferrite was cracked. Also on the inside, I got another cracked one. I spun them around earlier to try to find all the cracks. So it was cracked. And so I was going to put a matched one in. And here's the other one. I haven't spun it around all the way to check. That one right there won't hardly spin. So this one right here seems to be okay. But I couldn't match it up. So what I did was I put two new ferrites transformers on the output. The input looked okay. When I said all the transformers, so the input looked okay. So then I retuned the output and the input along with the driver section, and this thing was barely making 500 watts PEP. Barely making 500 watts PEP. He also requested us to change out the power wire, so we put about 36 inches or so of OFC 4-gauge McMahon, and then 2 copper eyelets so he can hook it up. And that's his driver for the 16-pill. So we're going to do some staging and testing with the driver amp first, and then we're going to go to the meters, and we'll bring in the 16. All right, so moving on, he requested a dual bird meter setup, and in talks with him, we decided to go with 2 used true bird movements. And so I've got a large selection. I went through and found the best ones that looked the best, and there's a couple models that's hard to do lights in them. You can see the lights there. And this is the model that I found that I had the best that I could do lights with. So it has a bird lights as well, along with the PEP kit. And it has the 2 X's down, 1 X is in the center, and 5 X's up. So right now we're going to compare some meters. I actually got a bird meter up there that the batteries are dead. This one has no batteries, by the way. I built a regulator board, and all you have to do is plug in 12 volts, and it's fused. I'm gonna put a new line on here before you get it. It's fused, so you don't have to worry about it. Plus, the lights are 12 volts. A PEP kit is 9 volts. So I had to build a dual regulator board so it would support the different voltages. And I labeled it reverse and forward. So right now we're in 1X, and we're using coaxial dynamic slugs, which are, you know, same as bird. As a matter of fact, they're sometimes a little bit tighter. And there's your light for your PEP kit. So if you turn your PEP kit off, you will see this right here will drain down slowly. And then we turn it back on. Your lights. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And so he had this Dave, was the initial idea. So I bought out a bunch of old Davemade stock cases. So the Davemade is in a 16-pill Davemade case, just like this anodized, you know, it looks just like this. You know, try to keep the theme. The colors are pretty close, but a little different, but it's all Davemade style, kind of Davemade colors, even though I made them as Tinman. So it's Tinman Dual Birds RPL. You know what RPL stands for? R is for regulator board, P is for PEP kit, and L is for lights. RPL. So let's go ahead and get on with testing this Davemade. And we'll kind of tilt his meters up here. See if I can turn those lights out so you can read them. Because I got glare. They're readable. Overhead. You can see my overhead LEDs right here. They are shop light LEDs. They're really bright. So let's go ahead and get on with the show. And I got his slugs I pulled out so you can use for testing. And then up here in mine, I've got 1,000 watt in peak, 2,500 watt in peak, because this battery is definitely going dead. It's reading very tight. And then to mimic, I got 25 watt slug and reflect, and a 5 watt between the driver and the radio. We are going into a dummy load, and our working voltage right now will be 14.8 volts. I only got one switch on. Yeah, I only got one switch on, so we're using the PEP 99V over here, using 1,000 hertz tone. And let's see here. We're about to get on with the show. Just want to get some of this stuff set up here. All right. So let's see here. All right. So just a driver, forward 1,000 watt slug in 1X position. 1X. So there's 5. 1X. So be reading that bottom scale on the forward. That's 1,000 watts. PEP. PEP kit's on. Reflect. That's 5 watts. That's 2.5. So let's go ahead and see what we're doing. Slamming 1,000 watts. So let's go ahead and go into 2X. There's 1,000. Between your 10 and your 15 is 1,000. So we're reading this is a 200 watt scale. So let's see, there's 40, 60, right in the middle is 50. So about 1,500 watts. And you see the reflect, that thing's pretty flat. Maybe, using a 25 watt slug makes it a little looser, but we got it mainly for the 16 pill. So if we look up here, we're not even doing a watt. Not even doing a watt. So your driver, we're seeing about 1,500 or so. And let's go down to average on the 1X. What are we getting average on this radio? So we're getting about 600 average, and then I'll go up here to mine and we'll look and see. So 2500 watt slug, so about 6. So you can see that now we have your amp tuned very well. Now let's go to the average radio. Alright, so let's go to the average radio. So I have an average. Yeah, nobody's going to ever believe that. Over 900 bird. Let's go up here. 2500 watt slug. So that one's showing about 8 on the 2500 watt scale. Now let's look at the 1000 watt slug. About 9. So it's reading them about the same. So coaxial slug, bird slug. Can you believe a 1x4 is doing 8 average? Now here's the spectrum. So let's change that span out to 200. First and second harmonic. Do you see any splatter? No. This Davemade, since I went through and matched up the transformers, I did not touch your inputs. I rechanged the tune. It's stroking, doing almost 1500 watts PEP at 14.8 volts. The average does have the math a little bit off, but let's see here. Let me turn my power down to about a half a watt. Still doing over 800. And it's the heat coming out the back is little to none. I mean, it's very, very cool. I mean, your Davemade is stroking, buddy. Most 2x6s can't make those average numbers. So we go from 210 watts average to over, we'll say 800 to be on the soft side. Over 800 average. So that's what I'm talking about. I love these bird meter, the color of this. And I've got some zip ties in there, so this right here can't pull out. I beveled all the edges here too, so they're smooth. 20 feet of coax going in. So now I told you it's gonna be a long video. We're at about 13 minutes right now. So let me get the screws tightened down on this and get the warranty seals put on it. Let me go give you another quick preview. So we went in, we changed it. And now I'm gonna turn it off, turn our light kit off, and we'll be back. Tinman down here in the BAM on this Mr. Rob out in Cali. Bye, 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 bye. Be back. All right, we're back with the 16 peel. I gotta get all the fingerprints off of it. For Mr. Rob, here we have a 10 MTM 16 auto Toshiba 2SC 2879 in the Davemade colors. Remote, silver SO239, silver Teflon SO239, and for the power, I have a butt ton of 8 gauge. And then your ground wire, we have I believe that's an alt 1, either alt 1 or alt 2. I'll have to go look, and I put a bolt on the back. So I wanted to kind of come in here and show you the amp before I hook it up, because I've kind of got to position it on my 1000 amp supply. I need to rebuild my current one since it got damaged from lightning. I only have about 350 amps, so I've got to rebuild it. But too much work going on to get that power supply rebuilt. So I'll try to get all these fingerprints off of it. I'll wipe it down. All right, so and the fans are Cooler Master. They pump out an amazing, I think it's somewhere around like 80 to 90 CFM, and they're blue LED lit. Put a lot of ferrite on there. So let's see here. Just gently lay it up there. It's got rubber to isolate it as well, so you won't hear any vibration. And here is the inside of your amp. I do have to come through here and kind of I polished the copper board, so I got to get my fingerprints and stuff off of it. So all Toshiba 2SC2879 red dot matching. Everything in this amp is 100% matched, down to the transformers, input, output transformer, capacitors, your collector to grounds. Every ferrite bead is matched. Every ferrite bead is matched. All of your coaxes are identically the same length. Your counterclock, I mean your positioning for your combiners are correct. Now, when I first built this, I built this with RF parts transformers, and I had a huge mismatch. You can test these amps without powering them on. That's the correct way to start your tuning. And I had a huge mismatch. So I went back, changed out the input transformers, rematched them all up. Now, I am using the BBI transformers. I bought abundance of these, and of course I believe my supply is gone now. I no longer have any more of those. But I was going to do some distributing for him on these, but I had back surgery and blah blah blah. I went down, and unfortunately I just haven't contacted him to order any more. And I haven't had a lot of people that wanted them, so I've got to go through here, kind of shine the board up just a little bit before I throw it in the box. Now, your power strip, I have a smaller power strip with braid. You can probably look down there and see the braid that's on there. And I kept it kind of small. So once I put the braid down, then I drilled the holes. And you can put a lot of solder, but you still need to keep it neat. Right now, with the fingerprints on the board, it's not neat, but I will correct that. So even though it won't matter, but the fingerprints off will help it in the long run. I used a nice big relay and nice big doubled up ground strap. Then you got your remote jack in the back. I always, with these Davemades, if one comes in here to be tuned, you go out there and look in the world, look at the Davemades that I have modified. I always put a bracket here, going down to the bottom, two-side tape this, and it also sits at the bottom as well. I build this little mount, and I solder it to the board. And kind of the same way for your input coil. Now, I did put quite a few capacitors here. I could have done it with one, but I opted to do it with a few, just in case one of your capacitors pop. If you pop one of these 5s, you're okay. If you pop 3 of those 5s, you're okay. You'll notice reflect, and you'll be able to stop. If you pop one of if you had one big cap in here, and you pop it, you're going to have issues. So I opt to put quite a few. I mean, even though I've got a 6 kV right here in the front, and another one down here where you can't see, I opted to put a lot of 5s in here in case they pop. Just the way I do my tuning. I'm different. But again, it's tuned more towards average instead of peak. And there you go. Just give you a brief view of the inside. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to polish it up, put the top on it, seal it up, come back and do a test video for you. Alright, we'll be back. Tinman and the Bam. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. Alright, we're back. Tinman here in the Bam with Mr. Rob's 16 peel or 1x4 Davemade modified. Tinman built 16 peel Toshiba 2SE2879 and Davemade case. And of course, bird meters. You've seen from the previous video, I showed you the lights and the fans. These Cooler Masters are awesome. They're quite expensive, but they are awesome. They have they come in a box. They come with some different plugs you can put in line to slow your fans down, speed them up. But we need the maximum amount of CFM that we can get. I did stick the microphone up to the back of the amp. I don't know if you guys heard any airflow or not. When I go through and edit it, I'll have to see what it sounds like. But I didn't check before I came in. So let's look at our line section. I went ahead and forked up the money for this little adapter to hook on the back of your line section. I would recommend getting a little pair of pliers and tighten them up, you know, kind of snug, like I have here. See how it don't move. I highly recommend this. And for other piece of information, I'm using RG400. The jumper between the amplifier and the driver is 55 inches. I just cut them to spec. You know, everybody does things differently. I just cut it to spec. For your input to your driver output. So the back of your amplifier, I've got antenna input, and then there's your serial number, remote. So what I want to do is, I really don't want to key the box without a driver. It is a 16 peel Toshiba. We're at 14.3 volts. Key down, we're at 14.2 volts. Now we have 1000 watt slug in forward position, 25 watt slug in reflect. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick the light. Well, I'm gonna leave the lights off. Turn on PEP. Go ahead and put it in a 5X position. So now we're reading that middle scale. 1000 watts, 2000, 3000, 4000, and 5000. 25 watt scale and reflect, reading that top scale. 5 watts, 10 watts, 15 watts, 20 watts. We are going to dummy load. So just so you're aware, we do have the driver on. It's going to be a little bit loud. And on my driver, we're going to start off with reflect. On my driver, my radio, I have it set at about a watt going into this. Now this is set on max. Let me turn this off. So this is set on max. I would highly recommend setting your radio and your amplifier around 100 watts of dead key. You know, roughly 20 to 25 watts per transistor on the final. So this is a 4 peel. So anywhere between really 80 and 100 watts dead key with this. Now, with the 16 peel in line, keep the same math. You want to do 80 to 100 watts per transistor. So you want to key anywhere between say 1200 and swing. Now if you do the math, that's 1600 and swing. But you know, 1000 to 1600, you know, is okay. You know, 1000. You know, if you drop below 600 watt dead key with this, you possibly could get a little choppy. But with your final, you know, keep a check on your reflect and look at your forward in 5X. So now we are on PEP. If I turn the lights on, you might be able to see it, but in the angle I'm in with my overhead lights, we get some glare. So let's go ahead and turn this amp on, and let's first of all, let's check some reflect when we did the dummy load. I am using a tone generator. Alright, hang on. I'll be right back. I gotta make one more quick move. To check reflect, I got the fans disconnected here, so we can check reflect, and we'll come back here. So 5-watt slug and reflect. Now they say 2%. You know, that's you know, I like to keep it lower than that. We're using a 25-watt slug. Whoa, what was that? Less than 2 watts of reflect. Oh, 4,000 in the corner. Now, I was just trying to do a very quick demonstration of reflect. That's coming directly out of this amplifier, going through that 20 foot of coax to the meters. Now, what I want to do real quick is turn my mic gain off, and let's see what our dead key is. So we're about 1,200 watts or so. Not bad. Not bad at all. So now I want to turn my mic gain back on, and let's see what we get. There's your forward. Reading that middle scale. 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000. Just so you guys don't think I'm pulling anything. So almost 4,400 watts. Now let's go to the average scale with my peak reading Galaxy. So let's let that PEP bleed down. We're just going to hit average at this point with my PEP radio. $2,500 watts average come out of your 16 peel. All right, let's swap. All right, let's see what average does now. I stopped it at 4,000. 4,000 average. How about them babies? That's about the same as your PEP. Now, just so you don't think I'm doing any hokey pokey, here's a 5,000 watt slug. PEP is off. 5,000 watt slug on my meter. So that's about 3,500 on my meter. Slamming at 1,000. So I believe you are more than set up. Let's see what PEP does on my meter. Yeah, my batteries are low. Let me swap just for giggles. You got a good set of batteries in your, well, there's no batteries, you got good voltage all the time to your meter here. See, over 3,500. Let's see here. Stopped it at 4,000. So, with that being said, and little to no reflect, you are set, Mr. Rob. Mr. Rob up in California. Get the slug sitting on top of here. 12,000 amp down here. Lights, PEP. Alright, Mr. Rob, we're going to get this video compiled up for you, edit it up, and oh, just so you don't think I'm doing any hokey pokey, turn that one off. Now, we're in 5X. I'm going to leave it at 5X. And let's see what your driver is so you don't think I'm pulling anything. Alright, let's go to 1X on your driver. And And let's see here, let me swap radios back, because that's the one that was doing like 800 watts average. We're in average. Let's see what we're doing average on this radio. Oh, I'm in PEP. $600 like it was with that radio. Swap back. Reading that bottom scale. 900 like it was earlier. All going through my coax. So you don't think there's any hokey pokey, and that's what it's all about. Yeah. Alright guys, I need to wrap up. It's late on this Saturday evening. What is today? I forgot what the date is. Anyway, Tinman down here in the band, Mr. Rob out in California. I apologize it's taking so long, but you got one badass mobile coming your way. Or you've got a nice mobile, nice setup, you've got some nice equipment going in it. Again, I apologize it's taking so long. It's not normally me. I'm just trying to get and work as much as I can with these back surgeries. You guys take care. Tinman and the Bam. And if there's anything I can do for you, leave a message. You can email me there. You can go to my website and fill out a contact form. I'm currently taking a couple of orders or repairs. Repairs preferred. We can get it back to you. Alright, you guys take care. Tinman and the Bam. Bump, 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 bump.